The up what? That's some setup you have there.
Thank you very
Honest
much.
to God, look at that. Like, it's impressive. It's impressive.
Thank you very much. And what's up, everyone? And welcome to the Emerald Grappling Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Murphy. And in the famous words of the Hardy book, Owen Kelly, there's only one Davy C, and I'm delighted to have him on the podcast. So for anyone who doesn't know Davy, he is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu purple belt, an MMA fighter. He has won the title of the Irish National MMA Senior Lightweight Green Division Championship, and he's the striking coach here at Lakeland Jiu Jitsu. Davy, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, man.
Aaron, thank you for having me. Like, I've been looking forward to this for the entire week, honest to God, because it's just, as I said before, it's literally, I need someone to pick my brain right now. You know, I've literally so many things happening that just overall, with all the training, the prep, and everything, that just getting it all out. It's basically like doing a roll in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? It's like you have so many techniques happening that is like the best thing what you can do is actually just roll, and then everything just comes out. It's just gonna be like therapy right now.
Happy days. Well, I'm jumping in ahead of the curve before you actually start making it up higher in them ranks. So, yeah, I had to be there first, man.
See, times are going to be very exciting right now. They're going to be very exciting. I know I was, especially half of this year and most of last year, only up until May last year, I was competing, and then I took a little break in the competitions, but still kind of looking at a different skill development phase that I've been working on for a very long time now with Tyrone, basically, and we've been just banging out all the systems and thinking about, you know, all the avenues and all the different possibilities that, you know, can actually happen in a role and or in a fight. And I'm looking forward of, you know, getting back into it, especially after them wins last week in Grappling Industries, you know, just getting that ick again, just getting that fire, because that was just something. I was just getting back on the mats. That was just absolutely incredible.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. And for anyone who might not know you, do you want to give a little bit of a introduction to yourself and how you got started in jiu-jitsu and MMA?
No, 100%. It was, I'll say, like most of us, we just started off as a hobby. You know, I only 4 years ago. I'm not even training that long if you think about it. And I remember it was October. So I think this October coming, it'll be 4 years. Yeah, this October coming, it'll be 4 years. And I started off with Tyrone back in the old club in Mullingar. So I done a first like a 8-week course with the boys, and then I was just like, yeah, no, this is grand. Yeah, no, I like this. And that was the time I was just literally out of school. I was just out of school straight away. I was working full time actually at the time in Tesco's. Yup, Tesco. Every little helps. But yeah, and then I just started doing this as a hobby. Obviously, you always, you know yourself, everyone's like that. We always done something in primary school or secondary school that just involved like wrestling or stuff like that. I always had it in me. I felt that wrestling with the boys in primary school or stuff like that, it was just, I always had the better of them. But yeah, no, I started off with that course. And then just weeks just started going by. And I remember when I done my first class with Dave, and I run up there back in the old gym, and it was like literally, I remember like it was yesterday. Like it was just, and then from that, just constant training, just, you know, just tipping away every single day, Monday to Friday. Twice a day, most of the weeks. But I'll say we'll touch on that too. But yeah, no, that's the little introduction. Like that's how it started off, and it's been like that. And it's been like that. Not literally, nothing really has changed since then till today. Like it's basically the system. Obviously, you know, the progress and the belts and stuff like that definitely changed. And my mindset, that was the biggest thing. I felt that just everything changed, and just awareness of everything around. And the biggest thing for whoever is, you know, starting this or you know, are thinking of starting this, is you just have to learn your body. You know what I mean? It's like you have to learn first. Like you have to understand your own body, which way you're moving. Because if you look at these days, like you'll go downtown and you see people walking wrong. You know that we kind of lost that functionality, and that's why I just think that jiu-jitsu, any type of martial arts is just so good for just functional movements and basically just staying fit, not even doing a lot, but just training twice a day will just make you fit and functional. So that was another reason why I started off this, because I just wasn't looking after myself really. I was always, like athletic, and I was always moving around, but then that kind of phase of just going to the gym just got very boring. I just felt that everything just got so like repetitive, and everything was the same, just doing legs, chests, arms, biceps, just like constant rotation. It's like, and week to week is the same thing. Whether like this, you have, you have so many positions. It's just like a chess game. Like that's the exciting part about this. That it's just, it never stops. When you hit a counter, then there's a counter for your counter, and just keeps going and going and going. And then since that, after a couple of, I must have been over a year, that I kind of understood the simple, basic principles then. And then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do this. I'm really going to commit to this 100%. I'm just going to compete and see how it goes. And it went fairly good, and it's going fairly good. So hopefully, it'll be, these times are coming right now are very exciting. Yeah, 100%, definitely.
I actually remember when you started off doing that beginner's course, because I used to drop in from the Longford Club because I was working in Mullingar at the time.
That's absolutely mad.
And I had 2 stripes on my white belt, and I thought I was shit hot at the time. And I remember I got paired up with you, and Dave Hines was showing us like I think it was like the dogfight pass.
Yeah.
And we were doing it, and you just came in and you were just like, boom. Like, you had it done instantly. And I remember being like, oh yeah, you have to fix your hand. You were like, don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. And I was like, all right. And then obviously COVID came around. Everywhere was closed. And then our gym and Longford at the time did close. And we came up here, myself, Chris and Casey. And oh my God, I remember like the first roll back, I was like, oh, I remember this guy from doing the beginner's course. Yeah. I still have a bit more training him. I got bet like a dog. That's a terrible saying. And you were just like, yeah, I've just done this every day for the last year, twice a day.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the COVID times actually really changed a lot, especially for me, for my mindset and everything, because it was just, I was working and everything was just like, everything was closed, and only myself, Tyrone, Lyndon, and a few other lads were just in here, and then that was about it. Yeah. And then it was just that time that like I obviously got so good so fast because of just basically having privates with Tyrone every single day, and then obviously competitions and stuff like that came along, and that just kind of, but we'll touch on that. But yeah, no, the COVID and that time was fairly. It was a tough time, but it was great. Definitely helped me to make a couple of like life decisions that I'm definitely gonna, I'm just gonna do them for the rest, for the rest of the life. So it definitely helped me. I just changing the kind of perspective that I had, because obviously the plan for, I suppose, everyone after school is just go college. Just go college and then figure out what you're doing for the rest, like for the rest of your life. So this suits me a lot, because it's not like a 9 to 5. It's always it's exotic. It's just so spontaneous. Like, you don't know what's going to happen, and every single day. Obviously, when you're competing and then when you're in a camp, then you have to be disciplined, and you obviously have to make it as basic as you can. You know what I mean? You can change. You have to get into a routine that you're just going to hold on. Basically, same thing again. Training twice a day, morning, evening, doing your strength condition, being on top of all of that kind of stuff. So it's great, and I think that life really it just suits me. It just suits me, because I suppose it's like everyone doing this has their own little, whys. Why are they doing this? There are easier ways. There's absolutely, like, we've easier ways of making money. You know what I mean? So obviously it is a hobby that's after turning into a passion, but I think the biggest thing for me is I really want to be the best version of myself. You know what I mean? It's just literally being at the peak of my physical performance, and that really gets me. Like, that when I hear like physical performance and like peak, I'm like, I like animal. Like, I'm a fucking animal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I like. the first MMA fight I had there last year in January, that was like, and that's what I mean about the mindset kind of change, because back then I wasn't like that. I didn't have that mindset. If I had that mindset going into that fight back then, I would have I would have went through your man even faster than I did, you know, even though it was first round finish. Yeah, but it was just it's the mindset. It's usually you against you, and then just kind of sorting these things out in your head before you kind of go in. I wasn't, and that's what I like. I just wasn't ready, and I just rushed everything so fast back then. You know, MMA wise, jiu-jitsu is grand because you're still learning. It doesn't really mean, you know, it doesn't really mean that much, you know, and especially when you want to turn pro and stuff like that. It doesn't really mean that much. It's just getting the experience and getting the feel of the match and just the crowds and everything, because it is different. And then the MMA is just basically it's everything. You know what I mean? It's you're jiu-jitsu, you're a wrestler, you've absolutely everything, and the reactionary stuff and the proactive stuff, like just your nervous system, it literally has to be on fire. Like when you're in that cage, obviously it's nice, you're an animal, you hear the cage lock up and then it's like a fight or flight. But in the same time, you want to be aware of everything. You know what I mean? You want that fight or flight, and you want to use it in your own advantage, but it's more so you want to be calm, you want to be aware, you want to be sharp. You don't want to get too emotional with that kind of stuff, because if you get too emotional, then that's the time that you're going to get caught with something. You know, it's the same with grappling. If you get too emotional, then your reaction stuff, your proactive stuff is not going to be the same, and then that's when shit happens. But yeah, but just back then I was too emotional with all that kind of stuff, and even at the nationals in March, I was still too emotional, and that's only because I wasn't mature enough. I feel I just wasn't too. I was doing all the training the same way I'm doing right now, but I always had that thing. It was like, just grab him, just hug him, and I'll just throw him down on the ground. I'll just submit him straight away. But it's, especially for MMA, for jiu-jitsu, yeah, I'll grab you, I'll hug you, I'll suplex, I'll literally just put you to the ground, and then I'll just do my job. But for MMA, it's just so broad. There are just so many different principles in every single martial art that is just, if you don't understand them, then you're going to be in trouble, you know. And then that's why after May, after the last ADCC that I'd done, after that Josh Scully match, then that I was like, you know what, I need to ease off a bit. Because even, as I said, even before, and about all this understanding your body and stuff, I was just training for that long that I think I hit my peak, and then I went over my peak a couple of times. And the biggest thing obviously is I was recovering physically, but then in the head, and that's, you know, good that you know, you can talk it out and stuff. And I was just I knew that there was something wrong. I'm like, oh, this is, you know, it's I don't feel the same, you know. And every single session would be like, I would almost force myself, you know, just to come down. Is like, oh yeah, no, I have to do this. And I'm like, you know what, that's not me. I'm after doing something wrong there, you know. There was an error, so I figured that out, and I just went back one step, develop the skills, the systems, more systems, you know, that treating a position not as a position but as a system of different chains or different techniques. You know, everyone it's a side control, half guard, and their positions, but like we have systems of them positions that just basically go and transition onto different positions 100%, because it's like, it's a circle. It's basically like a circle that you're connecting all the dots. But now the dots, for me, I kind of visualize that in my head, and it's like a big circle, and all the techniques are inside, and they're just going cross. You know, they're going cross, and you've just connecting dots, and that's what we've been working on for the past couple of months. And it's definitely, I can definitely feel it. I can definitely see it, especially when I'm rolling in different gyms. Or rolling with people that I haven't rolled with a very long time, and I just kind of see, I kind of feel in the reactions that I need to work my stuff. And obviously that's the biggest thing, is like, if you can get the game into your game, you know, if you can get that where you want the game to be, then you're that step. You're ahead. You're one step ahead all the time. So that's the way you want it, and that's what we're working on for a long time. But it all comes in time. Literally, it all comes in time. Obviously, it'll come faster for some people, and I suppose it'll definitely come faster for those people that definitely compete a lot, I would say, because they're always in this kind of chain. And if you compete a lot, then you just feel what you have to work on. Every single time, every single competition, there's something new that you have to work on. And in my scenario, I was like, I don't want to be bragging or anything like that, but I was winning everything. The very first comp I lost was on the 25th of July, the first Grapple Kings outdoor. Your man I went in outside single. Your man got guillotined. He jumped close guard, even though that was a white belt now, so he should have been DQ'd. Now I know my stuff right now, yeah. Well, he jumped close guard, and he choked me out. Like, literally, I was passed out. Like, then I remember it was like a reboot. It was like a reset button, and I was open. I seen dark, and then I'm like, I don't know what this position is. Like, literally, that's the thoughts going through my head. Like, I need to escape. I think I need to escape. And then I suddenly just opened up my eyes, and then the lads were on top of me, like, fuck, damn, Jesus, I passed out. Your man choked me out. And then obviously after that really was like, even though, we've been trained, that was just after COVID, and we were just training. It's like, right, I'm doing something, but I'm still missing something. And it was just the kind of competition side of it. It was my very first comp, nerves, adrenaline, everything just kind of, once again, I got too emotional, I'm like, in my head, I was like, right, I'm after doing all this training. We're working with the best boys down here in the gym. We're after getting so good. My first comp, I'm just going to go in and wreck everyone. And I got humbled very fast. But look, after that first comp, I was just on a spree, on a winning spree, just like loads of like 60 grappling matches just in a row, just won. It's Smoothcomb says it all. Just go into my Smoothcomb, you'll see it. Yeah.
Check the record.
But yeah, and that the first one really, really, really humbled me. That just was like, that was, there has to be a change. There has to be a change. And obviously, we didn't have competitions in before. Obviously, I only started off in before COVID, so I never got the chance to compete. And at the first comp, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna love this. And I did. I loved every single part of it, except the choking out part. But the prep and just the fact that I was outdoor, and the sun actually that day was blaring, that it was that hot, and it was actually imagine doing your first competition without your top. That's a dream. That's a dream of a kid, literally. Even going out anywhere without your top and competing, doing some kind of sport, the ladies be definitely looking at that, yeah. But anyways, it's definitely the competition side that really make you good. You know what I mean? It's always you always have things to work on when you come back to the gym. You always have something. There's always just a system. There's always a scenario that's like, oh, I should have got this underhook, or I should have just stepped over his head down here. There's always one little thing that can happen. But coming back, if you're winning that much, I feel that is like, you'll look back. You're gonna look back at your tape, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm doing this and this and this. But because you're winning, you're like, oh, I'm doing something right because I'm winning. You know what I mean? So I'm doing this right. So you're gonna be looking back at your tape, you're just kind of just seeing, making reels and stuff like that, and just basically just watching them. But it's not going to be you're not going to conclude the same way as if you would lose. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing I feel, that is like, you lose and you actually learn twice or like 3 times the more even than your win, because it's like you're feeling out your body. So it's like more so oh, mush the table, no, cut this. But yeah, no, it's like you lose and then you conclude more. You go back to the gym, you just look at the tape and you look more at the tape. It's like, oh, you see every single your mistake, and then you go back and then you fix it, and then you learn so much more, you know. And the three last matches I had in the ADCC with Pavel, he's a beast of a lad. Remember that match? That was like literally, obviously he's a wrestler, he's a pro fighter, and he's been doing it for a very, very long time. But yeah, no, he's been doing it for a very long time. That match, my second match, obviously Nicholas in the IBJF Dublin, and then the third last, the last ADCC, which obviously Max Lally, like the three boys literally just, they just shut me down, you know. Even though I knew like I can definitely take it up to the boys and show them that even just for them to remember me, like, do, you know, get good scrambles going and obviously good jiu-jitsu going, get a good match. But the time between, let's say, the first ADCC, which was the second, or the second I done, which against Pavel, that since the last comp, which was last year May, that space, that duration of that time, it was too long. It was just too long without any competitions. Of obviously good in one way, because you're developing, you're learning, you're not focused on the competitions, then you're just looking at skill development. And then that's the biggest thing, obviously, skill development, that you can work on your own stuff, figure out your body, figure out what you like, just move away, erase basically all the stuff that you don't like, and then go back competing, you know. And then that's what I did. But then the first, second, third fight, I'm like, oh, I've been doing all of this, I just take the boys on like that, you know. I obviously, I was very confident, and I still am.
You don't say.
Yeah. But it's just the competition side. You just, if you want to be an athlete, you just have to compete, no matter what it is. Just to not lose the feel, you know, not to lose the spark, not even the spark, but just the feel of it, I would say, because the spark will always come back, you know. It's always there, especially when you're rolling down here with the boys on the mat, and you know that you've a nice round, or you have a nice entry, or overall a very good round. It's always here, it's always in the heart, you know, it's always in the chest. Especially, I got the heart rate monitor there a couple of weeks ago, right? And since that, my performance has gone through the roof, because I know I have a strap on my chest, and I have to go harder, you know. When I'm training, I just have to go harder and harder and harder, because I know I'm going to go down, I'm going to look at the app, it's like, yeah, your basic training. I'm like, what do you mean it was basic training? You know, it's like, it wasn't basic. I've been working my ass off down here, and yeah, it wasn't basic at all. If it's just imagine getting like a skeleton kind of part, I don't know, even a skeleton that you could put around your body like a suit, and then do all of the wrestling stuff and just figure out all the muscle fibers that were really actually working in our body and stuff. That'd be something else. I suppose you can actually read loads of that from your heart rate though. But yeah, no, going back to this park and stuff, and just the rolls, they're just so much fun. You know, this hard intensity round are just like, they're just great, you know, especially if you have a tank, you know, if you can go for a couple of rounds without just getting nice scrambles. Because if you accept the position, then, you know, then you're kind of playing your guard, you're after accepting position. But if you get the chains going, then you're into like your stage 1, 2, 3, you know, defense, and then you can hit some serious techniques. And yeah, no, but that's really it, you know, from the kind of competitive side, I would say, just doing as much competition as you can, you know. And obviously the plan right now is just staying active, really, like staying active, because obviously I'm actually in a camp right now. I've been a couple of weeks, just about 7 weeks ago, I said to myself, I'm gonna do a full-on proper camp for the Euros that are just around the corner, just next month, literally 3.5 weeks ago. And that's the big one, because I am planning on winning that. So yeah, no, that's the big one that the focus has been on right now for a couple of weeks. And the grappling industry was just very good. I was just getting heap of matches in, you know, especially for people that will pull guard. And then I can get my systems going, my guard pass systems going, and basically the system that we've been working on for a couple of months. And that's the time. That's going to be the time just to show it all, you know, and just win Euros.
You mentioned like Europeans is only around the corner, and you mentioned you're in a camp. So what is your weekly training schedule like at the moment?
See, Monday to Friday is all. It's twice a day, Monday to Friday. So I'll just walk you through it basically. So Monday, every single day, we'll be down here at 11 o'clock in the morning. Obviously doing an OE session, doing a bit of jiu-jitsu. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then on the Tuesday morning, we'll be coming down and doing a bit of strength and conditioning. You know, just getting strong and getting the joints, just making sure that you can let even a submission or whatever it is, that you can you know, you're obviously in that position you can be strong. Just doing the basics, you know, mobility kind of stuff, just kind of injury prevention, you know, because we're doing that much training that you're just more vulnerable of just getting injured, you know what I mean? So it's like, I know we can be rolling, but especially when in the high intensity rounds, then that's the ones that if you're getting injured, then it's definitely on a you know, when you're going hard. So that's basically just the injury prevention kind of stuff. That's when we do Tuesday and then the Thursday, and then every single day down here at 6 o'clock, you know, just more reps, you know, more jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock. And then the Tuesday and the Thursday evening, I'm teaching kickboxing down here, which to basically beginners and yeah, and just to beginners. And the boys are doing a great, like the boys are flying. No, the boys are flying, and the classes have just been getting bigger and bigger every single from week to week, which is it's exciting. I tell you, it literally is exciting, especially that I've a couple of boys, 3 or 4 boys that have been with me since like last year or beginning of this year, and the progress that they're after making is just serious. Like that really just brings you into like this another, going back into your mindset that you know is like into your head, even that like you know what you're doing, especially that you can, all the technique and all the knowledge that you have in your head is like, if you can pass it on, then you can then you're like, geez, I actually know what I'm at, you know. And then that was what one point a couple of weeks ago, that I was just like looking at the boys, even sparring with the boys. I remember like, Jesus, them boys are actually, they're putting it up to me right now, so I just have to go a bit harder. So but yeah, no, that's the training basically Monday to Friday. Obviously the weekends would be, I'll still come down, you know, in the evenings after work, just to do a little cycle or something, just to kind of
keep the body moving,
keep the body moving, just get, you know, nice good blood flow all around the bodies. And even if there's few aches or something, that's you know, just to increase the heart rate a tiny bit, just to heal the niggles, just to be ready for Monday, you know, because come Monday and it's all the same. Monday to Friday is just literally the same. It's just it's so repetitive. It's just a routine that I wouldn't change a bit, you know. I wouldn't change this for nothing. Like it's literally so great, you know. It's doing something that you really just brings you so much joy and fun, that it's like, and you could and you will get a nice career going out of it too. And you know, the coaching side of it is literally something else. I wouldn't change this for nothing, literally. I know obviously sometimes it does get very hard, especially coming up to a Thursday or a Friday when the body is just in an absolute heap, you know what I mean? The body would be sore. Like really, really sore. Obviously we have the sauna and the cold therapy and stuff like that we're doing, and it is helping a lot. And I just close off last year, actually, if I just go back literally for one more second, and that's just to kind of, because I was talking about my first fight and then the nationals and then the ADCC. So kind of in between them 5 months, in them 5 months, especially January, I'm like, you know what, I'm really gonna get a shot at this right now. You know, I'm gonna commit everything. I'm gonna push my entire focus into this. And it was them 5 months that just really, then that I understood a lot in them 5 months. I was just aware of everything a bit more, especially after with my body too. And obviously I was training in SBG Tullamore air right now, air grappling, just every single day. You know, I was traveling up and down every single morning. I was up at 7 just to be there, up at 8 actually, or just in before 8 just to be there at 9, get a nice session going, an MMA session every single day for, must have been about 3 or 4 months, every single day. And you know, that really got my physical kind of performance through the roof, and the technique definitely. And you know, we got loads of rounds and loads of stuff done with the boys up there. So that kind of period of that 5 months really, you know, really just brought my performance to the top. And then that was the time that I really understood my body, and you know what, I know I'm going to commit to this fully right now. So it's like, I'm not going to be doing anything else in my life. So how about if I just strip everything down right now, just focus on my skill, and just time will come. You know, time will come for me, because I wanted to rush into it too fast. And I feel if you kind of take it step by step, you know, the way the boys were telling me to do it, then it probably would have been different, I would say. But it's just, Tyrone, like Kieran, as you know, they were just saying, you know, just kind of, you know,
Pull it back.
off, just pull it back a tiny bit, you know, not even just literally a tiny bit, you know. But then with all the training that I was doing, I was like recovering with all this. I was grand. Like I was training in Tullamore in the mornings, and coming down here in the evenings, and just the system, and I had a nice structure of basically just the camp, just a way to kind of lay out my camp and stuff like that. And any of these just come in during time. You just have to try a lot of things, and then, you know, suddenly it'll just click into you, and then you're like, oh, that's the way to do it, you know. And then obviously it could be 8, 9, 10 weeks for some people to reach their peak, but it's basically hitting the best part of yourself at that time. And then after 8, 9, 10 weeks, it literally just goes down. You know, you can't stay at your best for forever, or else you're just not going to be a happy man.
But at least you had that self-awareness that when you hit that peak stage, that you were like, okay, I got to stop, because eventually you probably were going to get injured, or, you know, you were going to burn out.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the biggest thing, is one is like, you don't want to get injured, especially when you had a serious injury, like, you know, your ligaments and stuff like that could just carry on for the rest of your career, like, you know, or your life even. But yeah, no, I knew that there was something. I knew that there was something there that I just have to ease off, come back. And then here we go. You know, here we are right now. You know, it's. I knew last year that I'm gonna do this year's, not Euros. And back then, last year in September, I remember I was raging I didn't do them. But I just kept telling myself that I'm just not ready yet. Just not ready. I still have loads of different things to be working on. But this year, I feel that through all of these techniques and all of the system that we went through, and all of the structure, the fundamental structure of the game that we have, starting from the feet, going down all the way to guard, is like options from everywhere. You know what I mean? That is like, you can, no matter where you put me, I'll do something. Like I'll move. Like I'll be on top, and I'll always have an option from no matter what position, no matter what submission. There always is going to be an option for me. But yeah, no, only a couple of weeks ago. That's like 6. That's when I really went off and started off my camp. That's when it was about 6. I said I'll do about 8 or 9 weeks of a nice solid camp and just basically get the rower involved into it too, because you're basically breaking records here on the rower, you know. It's like, and that's coming back. Like, that's another thing about basically this MMA, wrestling, jiu-jitsu is like, it just makes you obviously functional, but it makes you good at different things that you would think that you're never good at, you know. It's like, it's just the balance and everything is just, it just transfers into so many things in life, you know what I mean? It's just that it's literally so, like, there's nothing better that you could be doing. Like, honest to God, there's nothing better that you could be doing. And obviously on the rower, like, it's just started off because I just wanted to get more explosive. That's all it started off. And then I remember I started on 16. I remember back in that Belinda's room up there. I took the rower. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a couple of them 100-meter sprints. I'm like, yeah, sure. We'll see how it goes. And then the very first one, I got 16-1. And I'm like, 61 doesn't really feel. I wasn't very satisfied with that. I'm like, that's bad. Like, that's bad. Like, what am I doing with myself? Like, that is, for me, I'm like, that's very bad. But then obviously I kept doing them as weeks went on, and the same thing again, come Tuesday, Thursday, strength and condition. So I would do that first, just to kind of get the nervous system on fire, just to fire it up. And just the time just started going down by seconds, literally just by a tenth of a second or 2/10 of a second, and just kept going down and down and down and down. And then same again, I done it for a couple of weeks. I remember it was from December till about May I done it, and that was like 4 or 5 months. I kept doing it like every Tuesday and Thursday without missing a day, right? And then on the very last week that I stopped, like I was 0.1 of a second away from the world record on the 100-meter sprint, you know. So it was like,
yeah, because I remember even Tyrone, we came in for like a Tuesday session and we could hear the rower going crazy, and I was like, "Is that Davy?" And he's like, "Ah, yeah, he's just out there breaking national and European records, you know."
Yeah, no, like even prior to that, a couple of weeks prior to that, I broke the Irish record with a 15.3. And I remember I got 15.2, and I was delighted with myself. I was like, oh my God, I'm after breaking a record, you know? And that's not even my sport. That's what I'm coming up to, is like, that is not even my sport. And it's like, by doing jiu-jitsu and by doing basically this martial arts, it's just, you're just going to become so good at different things, you know? Especially that if you're very athletic, then it just makes you just so functional. I know I'm coming back to this functionality, but I just feel that it's literally everything. If you understand your own body, then you can actually push your own body. Then you know where the limits are. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you know where the limits of your body are, then you can, especially in a roll or in a scramble or basically in a fight, then you can really let yourself go. You can really let yourself go, and then without worrying that something is going to happen to you, you know? Because obviously people, you know, you have beginners that are coming down, and the first thing that they do, come down, they have the gi, they'll be doing everything, just squeezing, they'll be clenching their teeth, they'll be squeezing, and then they wake up the next day, and well, they're all sore. You know, obviously everyone's like that. I was like that. I'd say everyone is like that.
I'm still like that.
But it's just the fact that that you're just the functional side of the body. If you know how to move your body right, then the transitions in positions are just going to be way smoother. You know, yeah. You're not gonna let go of any space. There's not going to be any space for them to pummel in, and then, you know, an underhook or even any kind of frames. So kind of the couple of people back a couple of years ago just told me just the very first thing that you should be doing is just understand how to train. You know, the first thing is like understanding how to train. What are techniques, and when to be going for different techniques in different scenarios. But the biggest thing is like understanding how do you train, because then that's when you figure out your body. That's when you figure out what you like or what you dislike, And then once again, going back to the competitions, that's the best time, because obviously if it doesn't work in a comp, then you're just going to erase it from your game, and then you're not going to do it again. You know what I mean? So it's like, you do loads of comps, you understand your body, then it's basically no matter win or lose, it's win or learn, basically, as we would say. Because no matter what match it is, you're always learning. You're literally always learning from a match. And as I said before, it's literally, if you lose, you're gonna conclude more. So that's the time. That's the time to go in. But yeah, no, going back to the rowing, that's what it literally. It just makes you so good in different sports that you just wouldn't even think that you'd be good at. You know, even surfing or anything like that, anything to do with balance, you'd be fairly good at. And obviously anything to do with explosion, you'll be fairly good at, because wrestling is just all explosion. You know, double legs, single legs, and just staying fit and endurance. You know, that aerobic fitness that you can hold it. You can hold the pace that you're going at for a longer period of time. And then it basically just depends who's gonna let go first, who's gonna accept the position first. But if you're a high performance athlete and you've a tank on you, then you know that's like you're not gonna let go. You're just gonna change your techniques. You're just gonna go into mad scrambles, and then but it's just keeping that intensity throughout, let's say 20 seconds or 30 seconds. You know, after 20 or 30 seconds, when you stop, you'll be gassed, all right, but you're just controlling that after, you know, again, big, nice, lovely, deep breaths, and just controlling your breath work. And obviously I've been doing a lot of breath work too, you know, just to kind of work on my internal muscles, my diaphragm. You definitely see me around actually with the blue yoke. It's the O2 training. So basically what it does, it works your internal diaphragm. It works your internal muscles all around your diaphragm. Just to kind of, when you're in them kind of scenarios, I feel, and it definitely helps, because I can feel it in my tank that it's just like when I'm exploding, when I'm going in for something that's, I know it's going to take me a lot to kind of control the position, then that's when it hits in. The breathing kind of hits in, because then obviously your heart rate is going to be massive. You know, your heart rate is going to be about 160 average. So that's 160 average is, obviously you're looking at about zone 3, about that, maybe start of zone 5. Oh, I mean zone 4, sorry, just the start of zone 4. So it's like keeping that average heart rate. So basically it just pumps oxygen all around your body. If it pumps oxygen all around your body, then you can just go and go and go. And obviously you don't have time to take in deep breaths. You know what I mean? You don't have time to take in deep breaths. So that's why they just have to be very shallow. They have to be fast and shallow. And that's why I feel as like working your internal muscles on your diaphragm. It's basically, that's what it helps you with. It's just them little shorts of breaths when you're in a scramble and stuff like that. It just takes in a bit more oxygen, and then it can just, your heart can pump it all around your body, so that you can just go and go and go. But yeah, the rower.
Back to the rower. It's always back to the rower.
But the rower, yeah, no, 100%. It was just, I remember the 15-2. When I got that 15-2, I was literally just delighted. And I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna look up the world record.
Stay tuned. Davy will break it.
Just look. And remember, we were just down here with Aaron in the gym. Aaron, Quinn, and
not me. Big Aaron Quinn.
Big Aaron Quinn. I'm actually big as a Mullingar, Aaron Quinn.
Mongo, where you at?
So, you know, Aaron, he's just once again, Aaron's he's a great lad to be talking to, especially with this kind of, you know, endurance stuff and just this trend and conditioning kind of form of it. And especially that he understands jiu-jitsu, because he's a purple belt too. So it's like he knows the functional kind of side, what you have to be working on. And he helped me a lot, like, you know, at the initial couple of last month or last year and stuff like that, just kind of getting the foundation of everything. And then once I got the foundation, then it was just, once again, I understood my body. I know I have to work on. It's the same with striking and any of that. Well, we'll go back to that. We'll finish off on the rower, because I'm sick of going back to the rower. I'm literally sick of going back to the rower every single time, right? You can't focus on the one thought. It's like you're just moving away. It's crazy.
You might have ADHD, man.
I definitely have some. My brain is definitely it's definitely hyper. Like it's but that's good for jiu-jitsu and for any of these. For MMA, it's very good for everything because you're just, when you're focused on the point, you're really focused on it. And then anything that's on the side, it's still there. You like, you remember about it. It's still there, but you're focusing on this. And then after you finish, you're basically, you're taught, and like, oh yeah, no, I'll go back to this.
Just like back to the rower.
So going back to the rower. But yeah, no, 15-2. We looked up the world record, and yeah, no, your man was 14-1. I'm like, Jesus, 14-1. That's like a second.
I can do that.
But like, looking at the rower, a second is actually a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a second is a lot. When you're looking at the rower and you're basically just looking at in the tenths of the second, that's basically the 0.1 of the second that you're looking at. You're not looking at a second. Taking a whole second off your time is basically, wow, that's absolutely amazing. But anyway, it was 14-1, and then we noticed that your man, he's all strapped up. Like, he had a belt, he had straps on his wrist. Even his rower was literally drilled into the ground. Like, that was mad. And then since that, after I seen that he was strapped up, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna strap myself too. So I basically took one of the white belts. I should have took the black belt. But the white belt, I've a favorite up there, the one with the notch. It's like, it's just so, it's so nice that you can just tie it, and it's like, that's good. And then I took loads of weights up there, and basically the bags, and I just clamped the rower, just make sure that it doesn't move, because it just affects the kind of the
kinetic energy, probably.
Yeah, it does, because you're moving, and then the rower will just, especially you're flying off, man. The amount of times, even with the weights now, even last week, I had the weights on top, the weights on the back, and I just felt like extra explosive that day, right? And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go hard, the hard as I can. I just felt, I'm like, I can actually do this today. I was looking forward to it. I was just thinking about it the other night. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna put all of my effort into this, and I'm gonna get a good time. So then that day I came down, I got nice. I warmed up, and I got the rower out. I got the weights down on it. Aaron was here with Dave O'Shea. The boys were down here, and I just went at it. And even with the weights, the rower just started moving up and down, just up and down. And then I'm like, how explosive am I? Like, you know, it's like, I can pull, but it's like, you pull hard and you have to go back as fast as you can just to get another hard pull, just to get. And then I'm like, thinking to myself, I was like, how the fuck am I even doing this? You know, it's like, this can't be right. It's like, why am I even getting this time? Like, why am I so close to this record, like all these records, if I'm not even doing this every single day? And people up there that are doing this every single day, that are nowhere near this. You know, it's like, fuck. And, you know, back when I started this off and I was getting close to the records, I didn't even look at this. But then Aaron and the boys, they're like, Jesus, you're doing that. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm wrecking. It was like, it wasn't a big deal for me. But then because people started saying it around, it's like, whoa, records, this, Irish record, world record. I'm like, fuck, this actually must be a big deal. I didn't cop at all. I just, as I said, I just kept doing it just for my own endurance, you know, just to beat that extra explosive. But yeah, no, we seen your man being all strapped and all. I'm like, you know what, next week, it must have been at Thursday or Friday, so I'm like, next week, Tuesday, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to strap myself up. So the minute I got the belt on, I just felt different straight. I was like, oh, this is, I don't feel I'm going to fly off this. I think I can pull hard. Right, so the first go I pulled, and it was 14.7. So that's like 14.7 is like, you're looking at 0.6. A sixth of a second away from the world record. So I'm like, fuck, Jesus, that actually might be fairly achievable. And actually, going back to the records, they're all up to 75 kg. So we've a lightweight and then a heavyweight. So lightweight is 75 kg, and then heavyweight is 75 plus, something like that. And at the time, yeah, walking around 76, 75. So grand, basically. That's couple of tenths of a second away from the world record. I was like, yeah, Jesus, why not give it a go? The last thing on the rower, right, and then we'll move away from the rower. Yeah, no, the best time after I got that 14.6, obviously a couple of weeks after, the very best time that I got was 14.2, and that's, a tenth of a second away from from the world record, which is fairly. I'm looking forward to doing more of them, to be honest. And I've been doing them for the past couple of weeks now, as I said, just for the camp. I'm just staying, with that extra more explosive. And the times they've been there, 14.5, 14.4, and I still have another 3 weeks to go. So I think I might
you're
be
gonna get
very
it.
close.
But that just shows you hold yourself to a high standard.
Yeah,
Like
no.
you weren't happy with like a national record. You were like, what's the world? I will beat that.
Yeah,
Like-
no, it's always what's next. It's always what's next. I feel it's yeah, no, it's what's next. Because after that record, it was like, yeah, no, how about this one? How about this? And you can just link this up with everything. All the national fights that I had with the national MMA League and Gamma back in the days. Like, I just wanted more. I just wanted more and more. Literally just more. And that's why I was just saying after like had them 17 novice fights in the cage with the boys, and then on the 17th I remember it was like October, and it was for the belt, and I knew you know what, when I win that belt I'm going to call it, and then I'm going to go next. I'm after finishing that phase, so then I'm just going to go next. And then we were in the cage. I remember the belt was handed to me, and then Patrick Shearer just said, this lad can't be doing them again. I'm like, I know, right? I know I won't be doing them again. That was my last one, and then I'm going to my next phase now. Don't worry about it. I won't be sandbagging boys anymore. But yeah, no, the experience up there was incredible. Yeah, no, that just them 17 fights, and just not even the fact that you had like 2 or 3 fights a day, just in the space of an hour. That was the best thing. And now you're going into the cage, and you have like 3 trees, which is like 3 trees is absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? You don't have time for a lot of things, so that's why you just have to be fast and, well, obviously not rush into things, but just get your A game going straight away, and then just 3 trees isn't a long time. It just isn't. But the rower, yeah, 14-2. 14-2. I still have 2 or about 3 or 4 more weeks on the rower, so hopefully 14-1 world record. We'll see.
And you've touched on multiple times that the rower has made you more explosive, and that is evident in your wrestling. Like your approach to wrestling, like you can see, like it's trickled down from Tyrone, and it's got you. And when like we're in here in the gym, and you're showing like techniques sometimes, like if Tyrone can't take the class or anyone else, and you're like, right, we're gonna work on this, the collar tie, and then like you're showing the move, and I know you're doing it slow, but it's just boom, boom, straight away, and then you have this approach. All right, we're just gonna do this for half an hour, and we're going 1 for 1, and that is like, we were doing it last week, and I was trying to do that throw by, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm not gonna get this, but by the end of the half an hour, I think everyone in the room was getting it.
Yeah. No, the underhook throw by is just it's one of my favorite techniques now. It's something that I'm always looking forward to now. It's just like, if I get an underhook, I can get that throw by. I feel I've been watching so many videos of Adam Satsiev doing that. There's I remember there's like a 48 or 58 minute video of him in the gym, just wrestling boys in the gym, just obviously getting ready for a comp, but it's just a compilation with all of his takedowns. And I remember I was sitting on that bike up there for about 2 hours, just watching that and just rewinding and just taking videos and just rewinding and just taking videos. I'm like, fuck, this is great. And because of that, I just started doing that, and then obviously different techniques, but yeah, no, the approach to wrestling is just very explosive, especially with your collar ties and your underhooks. Is like the minute it's like just to get this, like, really, wrestling is like very, it's hard on the body. I would say wrestling is like it's the hardest out of all of them, because you just have to just have to react, and like you have to be quick. You just, and obviously know the techniques, what's happening around that. The better you get at wrestling, the kind of the time frame of the reaction just closes down. And obviously it's not just wrestling, it's basically everything jiu-jitsu. It's just the time frame of the reaction that you just have to hit just closes down. And it's just you have to be aware of so many different things in the same time, that when let's say you're going for an underhook, you know, obviously you might close the elbow. It could be such a small thing like that, but if you're getting off balance, then obviously he's going to reset. But it's more so reacting just before he gets to react, so then you can actually commit onto your technique and really obviously get a takedown at the end of the day. And that's why I feel if you really drill something, if you repeat something so many times, then obviously it's just gonna be in you. You know, you're just gonna have it ingrained into your nervous system. Even like yesterday, Friday morning, I was coming down to the gym, and I was just in the back of my head is like, I think I need to do a bit of north-south. You know, it was just I had this feeling in my body, just as like I need to work on my north-south, just kind of stabilizing the position and controlling the position especially with all of, you know, outside passing that has been done now lately and stuff. So we came down to the gym, and what is Tyrone doing? North-south. It's like, I'm like, oh my, like, I wanted to do this so bad. But anyway, we done that north-south pass, basically controlling the position and just different concepts, you know, them retaining their guard, getting one knee in, one knee out, getting their frames inside position, just basically covering every single scenario what can happen from that position, and then just kind of doing rounds from that, and then just figuring more, basically just falling into a loop or just asking questions and then just figuring out that position from A to whatever chain you want, you know, just always have an option from that. And then literally after we finished off, we just sat down, and I just had this urge of just like getting Casper in the middle and just passing his guard. And I must have been passing the guard like for 10 minutes straight, just literally connecting all the dots. You know, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna connect all my dots right now. So all the system, the outside passing that we've been working on, I'm like, I'm gonna connect this with this pass now, and I'm just literally just spamming techniques, just literally spamming the passing. And you know, Casper is like, I'm not gonna let you pass. I'm like, right, don't let me pass. I'm still gonna pass though.
Yeah, major work.
That's it. But that's the kind of thing you want. Is like, you want to be working on all of these passes with the right reactions. Once you get the right reactions, then your nervous system and just overall you as a person, you're going to react to it the right way as you would in a comp. And obviously everyone is getting ready for a comp. So that's the big goal, is like hitting these techniques in a comp without even thinking about it. Because if you think about it, then you're losing that second or two. So then that's if you think about it, then you're just losing that time. And time is so valuable. It's 3 trees, you know, MMA. It's not a long time, especially like 5 or 6 minute rounds in jiu-jitsu. Like, that's not a lot. It's not a lot of time to react. You know, it's not a lot of time to do loads of things. Like it's. So that's why I just felt that urge of just going in, putting him on the middle, give me some reaction. I'm not just gonna pass. This is basically work out the systems I have that I'm going to be doing right now. That I'm going to be passing people's guard. Oh, yuppa. That's good. It's just a system. I'm just getting hyped right now thinking about it, because yesterday it really clicked. I just remember yesterday just doing all of this passing and focusing, especially like focusing on this kind of system for such a long time. And then yesterday, after that north-south, it was just like, it just clicked. I'm like, you know what? I have to get someone in the middle and just drill everything. Just without, and just basically just go down, and I'm just going to do my stuff. Just give me a little reaction, and then just passing, just kept passing. And then after them 10 or 12, or I don't know how long I done it for, I'm like, Jesus, I think I have it all connected now, you know? And it's just the reaction, the reaction stuff that you want, because you're passing more, you're passing to the side, and you might get a frame. You know, there's a nice, Jesus, Lyndon only said the name of it yesterday. Kanta, is it Kanta? Kanta underhook. And it's like they have their framing off, and then you're just pushing it, and again, your own underhook, you know, getting that in with your outside passing into north-south, And the half guard passing that we have now with the near side underhook is just like, I'm after putting everything together right now. So yeah, boys in Rome, you better can be ready. Be ready, because I'm definitely coming for that gold. You know, it's just this, especially that I said it to myself last year that I'm definitely doing this Euros, and then a couple of months back, I'm like, I'm gonna start a camp. I just had a plan. You know, I had a plan that this Euros is gonna be big for me, and I'm really gonna get loads of systems and loads of training in, and I just what we've been working on for the past couple of weeks and months, it's all coming together now. I'm just very happy about that. It's all coming along, and it's just time to show it. You know, it's just time to show it right now, and bring that gold home.
Well, you're nearly having me convinced to go get a flight to Rome just to watch it, because I've been to many of your competitions. Because I'd be competing, obviously I wouldn't be doing great, and then I'd be like, how's Davy getting on? And the lads are like, do you even need to ask? And there you look over and you're having absolute battles with people. But there's one in particular that will always stand out for me, and it was your ADCC Ireland final match against Josh Scully. That was one of the most intense back and forth matches like I've ever seen. It's probably one of the best that was over the course of all the ADCC Ireland matches. That one in particular.
Yeah.
And I remember you went for what, 12, 13 minutes straight?
Yeah.
Like with the overtime, and you caught him at the end. You came off the mat, and I said this to you before we did the podcast. And I was like, I remember asking you, I was like, you were sunk in submissions, and you were like, he wasn't going to tap me. I'm not going to let him beat me. But like, that's just insane.
Yeah. Now overall that there, but no, that match. Yeah, no, we really focused on that match. It was just like, obviously I had three matches prior to that. You know, obviously I knew Josh just from competing with against Linden, and they had a couple of matches against each other back, you know, in Grapple Industries, or even I think just Grapple Industries and Grapple Kings possibly, actually. And I'm like, Jesus, I knew this lad was good. You know, that Josh is very good, because he's savage. And then it was just the build up, just the energy, and it was a final, and I knew that that's going to be the final. I knew that he's in my bracket, he's going to run through his side of the bracket, I'm going to run through my side of the bracket, and it's just going to be a final. You know, it's going to be two of us in the final. And even after the match, we were talking, and he said the same thing. Is like, it's gonna be me and you in the final. That's what he was thinking, and that's what he was saying to John Kelly, and that's what John Kelly told him. That is like, it's just gonna be you and Davy in the final. That's it. And then that match was class.
That was a savage match.
Was absolute. That match was that. I keep going back to that match, because that's the match that it is. It was like, there were so many things happening in that match, you know, the sequences, and just the duration of it. Like, it was, we went for like over 11 minutes. You know, he had me in submissions. Them triangle chokes were tight. They were tight. Like the very first one I remember, the only thing that saved me was my frame around his hip. That was the only thing I said that to save me. I just had a little bit of space to breathe. And then I got into like my late stage defense, so just stand up and then throw the legs over. And then not too long after that, she got me into another triangle. So I was like, shit. And then in my head, I'm like, you know what? I might as well just go into late stage straight away. I just avoid the early stage. You're like, obviously he's very good at getting me into submission. So I was like, you know what? Late stage straight away. So I threw the legs over, and then just kind of working the duck under passing and stuff like that. And half guard and loads of turtles, and wow, Jesus, there was actually a lot. There was a lot happening, and even the takedown. I was actually happy, because I got two takedowns in the match. I got the initial takedown, and then the takedown in overtime, which obviously I was very happy with that, because I'm the wrestler. So yeah, no, the match was about 11 minutes. 11, I think it was 11:30. And then throughout the whole match, I would turtle a lot and Josh would turtle a lot just to kind of not give up on your points. And then that's why it's just, we'll get someone on bottom and we wouldn't even pass each other's guard. He wouldn't pass my guard. I didn't pass his guard once because it was so good at retaining everything, you know. And even when we're so close of passing guard, then just turtle and not give up the point, which is like, well, but if you turtle, then you're obviously more vulnerable to different things, basically back takes and obviously front headlock choke stuff and so on. And for the first like couple of minutes of the first 10 minutes of the match, it was like I couldn't do anything from turtle. It was just so nice and tight. I'm like, Jesus, it's hard. It's just hard. It's just very hard to do anything. But then the initial finish was the back take. I took his back, and from turtle I got my bottom hook in. I just broke him onto the side, got my hooks in, and then and then once I got hooks in, I always start working the choke, and it worked out. So I'm very delighted with that, to be honest. But yeah, no, that match was absolutely serious. Like the energy of that match was. It's definitely my toughest match so far. Like that was definitely the toughest.
What was your main takeaway from that match?
I could just go all day. No, literally, I could just go all day. That I not no matter like, and I just like that. Like that was like the fourth match, so it's like no matter how many matches I have, I can just go all day, you know. And obviously just getting into that getting that thought in your head after a match like that and winning gold is like, whoa, Jesus, you're just an animal, like. Especially going against someone high level as him. Especially I was a blue belt at that time, you know. And then Josh was obviously purple a good while back then. And then just beating a very high profile purple belt in Ireland, it just meant a lot to me, you know, because it was just like, it just showed that's one of the moments that you're working for something for so long, and then you've done it. You're after proving it to yourself, you know, you're after proving it to yourself that yes, you're doing the right thing. Just keep going. And that was one of the moments I was like, I won it. I got gold. I'm after being a very high profile purple belt in Ireland, so I'm like, yes, I'm on the right path here, you know. And especially with the stuff that we're working right now, that was something else. That's just a feeling. Yeah, no, it was just crazy. And I remember we actually made a little, you know, the Sparta kind of like, what is your profession? You've definitely heard me actually doing that, because Thomas back in the crowd, he just shouted it all out like, what is your profession? And then I just started roaring like, oh, oh, oh. And that just got me so, like, just the match itself just got me so hyped. I'm like, that's how I feel right now. That's all of that kind of energy coming out of me. It's like, yes, it's like, yes, I'm after doing all of that. I'm after getting gold. I had a great day. I'm after getting loads of techniques going. I had a match with one of the best purple belts in Ireland. I'm after winning that match. It's like, yes, let's go. It's like, what else can I be doing? It's like, this is the time, you know. That is great. And that was the kind of thought process that was going through my head on that match. No, it was incredible.
I'm not gonna lie, I probably watched that match twice a month because like it was insane. There was 200 people plus standing around that middle mat watching the two of you.
And you know what?
Battle.
And I think that was the best thing about it, actually, because when our final was on, I don't think there was actually any other matches on. Like literally, I can't remember, or even maybe one on the left. But there was definitely a phase that we were just on the mat by ourselves. There was no one left or no one right. It was just ourselves, and then all of the eyes were just. And then that's another thing, you know. It's like people looking, and that's just like, no way I'm gonna lose when people are looking at me. It was the amount of times I rewatched the match, I'm like, fuck, that was just. But that's the matches you want. You know what I mean? That's the matches you want. Is like that's the obviously hard matches. That's hard matches, and high profile matches. That's one thing or another. But it's literally that's where everything just shows. You know, that's all your work that you're putting into your training and into your endurance and into your basically your training, just your training overall. That all pays their dues. You know what I mean? It's like that you got everything and it's working out and that was just I'm never gonna forget that match. And I said no, like every single time when I go to a comp right now, it's like just everyone just points out that match, like literally everyone just points it all out, especially the boys that be competing. You know, they just know that it's like that Josh is good, and it was just like a very good win for me. So oh damn, them matches, them hard matches, the scrambles, and just overall being in the match was just like, you know what, I actually can't remember a lot from the match. Even watching the match, yeah, granted, I watched the match and I kind of get, but it was just everything was happening in obviously in this kind of, I don't even know. It was just everything was happening without even thinking. You know, that's what I mean. It's like all the techniques and all of the scenario, all of the sequences and everything were just happening just like that. We weren't even thinking about stuff. I feel there's like myself and him, we just got into this flow of just win, or compete, or just fight. You know, I wasn't letting go. He wasn't letting go. So we'll just go and just keep going, you know. And at the end of the day, I got the tap, I got the finish. But I'll say we'll definitely meet each other at some stage once again, you know. And that'd be a nice match again, you know, Grapple Kings or somewhere, just go again, just get a nice match, because it's just we're both young, so it's like we can just compete, and we're both like competitors, so it's like we don't take it to each other like, you know, that's I'm not going around with like, oh, I you know, I'm after beating you and stuff like that. That's the biggest thing I feel, that is like the jiu-jitsu kind of competitor kind of side of is like they're all so friendly. You know, when we step on the mats, it's like, yeah, grand, we'll fight, but then after it's all respect, you know. And that's why it is here, is like we'll go again, and I don't mind going again. Probably Josh doesn't, he wouldn't mind. It'll be just fun, because I know that I can take so much away from that match, and then Josh, he'll take so much away from that match too, that is like we'll just get better and better and better. And at the end of the day,
that's what it's all about.
It's just all about this. So just getting better and just reaching that point that you can really reaching that point of just understanding, you know, just being aware of the things that you like in competitions, you know. So one of those, maybe, we never know.
Right, so back to the rower.
Back to the rower.
I'm just kidding. But as you said, you've been training probably like 4 or 5 years now. You've learned it all from Tyrone, and you've seen all these new like evolutions. Like I remember seeing you diving in on the legs, and then like you're really like integrating the wrestling a lot, and that seems to be key now for Nogi. Like everywhere you go, everyone wants to wrestle. No one wants to pull guard. No one wants to do the legs that much anymore. It's all about, they want to get that nice high, you know, highlight reel takedown.
Yeah, you up the reel. No, but that's yeah.
But how do you see the sport evolving next? Like, is it still going to be like heavy in on this, or are we going to see a lot more guard work coming back in? Or
see, it really just depends on the styles that are being matched. You know what I mean? Because it's if you usually it's like if you match two wrestlers that actually pull guard. You know what I mean? It's like they don't want to wrestle each other because of obviously they're two wrestlers, so they just want to move away and kind of pull guard and get going onto the legs. Then, because then there's like a wrestler doesn't really he won't know that much about legs as, you know, a guard player would. So I really think that it's just really just the styles, the styles. But where the game is going right now, as I feel, is like it's all there's. Yeah, no, we had legs. Now it's all kind of going back into the wrestling. But I feel that it's like the wrestling has been always there, but just people didn't cop it on. That is like they didn't cop on that it's basically the same grips on bottom as it would be in wrestling standing. You know what I mean? So it's like a collar. You can still use your collar ties when you're on bottom. You can obviously the wrestles ups are going to be the same. Your single legs are going to be the same. Your ankle picks are going to be the same. The only thing that you have to worry about is just like some submission attempts, just triangles or arm drags and stuff like that. But arm drags are the same standing, it's the same. It's the same concept, but the finishing kind of mechanics will be a bit different, and that's where the kind of deeper kind of side of it I feel comes in play, because obviously when you're pulling guards, then it's like you don't have space behind you, you know what I mean? You're going into the mat, but then the person on top has all of this mobility that he can move side to side and then engage into his flow, into basically his outside passing, and then if he can shut his guard down enough, then obviously he's going to pass his guard, right?
Yeah.
But then if that person on bottom has a nice idea of what he's doing on top, then it's like then he can really shut him down by basically pressing him up, you know what I mean? So it's like I feel that everyone's just going to get good everywhere, and then they're just depending who are they gonna be matched with. I feel then they're just gonna use, and it's just technical, it's just having tactics, it's just having the structure, a nice plan before you go into a match. It's like, right, this guy is a wrestler, so I might pull guard, I might just pull guard and then wrestle back up. It's like pulling guard just to kind of throw him off. Is like, oh, another this fella, another guard player, but then you just wrestle back up straight away. It's like, oh, I got you there.
Been adaptable really to like.
But that's I feel that's if you can adapt to, if you can just work everything and kind of, it's mad to say, but it's like if you can be good everywhere, like that's what everyone wants to be. It's like be kind of good, have like your bar chart instead of like just having your legs out here and having your wrestling down, or just basically having everything nice and even, so you can really adapt to a situation that you're in. Because it might happen you're a wrestler, but you might get taken down. So then obviously you might have to work your guard. You might have to. There won't be the right. You're not always going to get the right reaction just to wrestle up. You need a reaction for. You need some kind of connection for playing guard and wrestling up. If there's too much space, then obviously you're just going to stand up. You're just going to stand up if there's just too much space, especially a wrestler that got taken down. But I feel that's it. Is like there's like you almost want to be you almost want to have like a bar chart of like your wrestling, your jiu-jitsu, you're basically of different positions that you want to level all of them out. You know what I mean? So it's like you can really adapt into the situation that you're in. That you're basically, you might be in a deep submission, you might be just in open guard, but it's just making sure that all of these kind of scenarios you have them covered, especially in before training, that you know what you're doing, that you understand every position. If you're aware of positions, then as I said before, you can chain them up to your systems, and then you can chain a position to like 2 or 3 systems of that position, and then that might link to a couple of different positions on absolutely that has nothing to do with that initial position. It's like attacking an arm bar and then falling off and then going attacking the legs straight away off that. It's like you're chaining upper body with lower body, but that's only because you're aware of the positions, that position, and then that, and then you can chain it, and then you can just chain it and then have everything just balanced out. And then I think that just makes you a very good fighter, a very good competitor, a very good athlete overall. Just having the structure in your head, having things laid out that you're going to fail on something, and then you're straight away onto another thing, and then there's no pauses in your game. Once there's no pauses in your game, then you could just flow through everything, and not the biggest thing, not think about positions. So if you're thinking about something, it's like, what do you do here? Then you lost that second or two, and then you might get caught. So that's it. So I really feel that the next, obviously CGI is just after going by. So we're seeing what happened there. Like there was loads of wrestling, loads of wrestling, loads of outside passing, loads of Levi Jones, like his guard is like, who's gonna pass his guard? Like, who's gonna pass his guard? You know, it's like, me. But that's it. It's just, and that's why I was like feeling getting them guard players in a very uncomfortable position that they don't like to be in. You know, they need touch, they need some kind of attachment to engage, but we want to stay away from them. Just keep away. Don't give them any grips. Keep passing on the outside, and it will come. An underhook will come. A collar tie will come. A snap down will come. Something will come for us on top. So when it's there, straight away onto it. You know, straight away on that underhook, or straight away on the snap down, or straight away on the head. It's just, yeah, it's just being adaptable. You know, just if you can adapt yourself to them kind of positions or them kind of scenarios in the role without even thinking about it, just straight off your reaction, then it's like, I think that's what everyone wants to get. You know, just them bar charts, just having them lined up, and then that's, yeah, damn crazy.
Davey, I have to say I've really enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Getting to pick your brain has been on my list for a long time, like a really long time. When I asked you last week, I was trying to like pick all these questions, and I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to bother writing down that many because I know you're just going to go into.
I'm just going to go into 100% because I just feel, you know what it is like, it's a good thing because once, you know, it's like expression is obviously one form of some therapy. You know, it's like, because if you can say it out, then you really understand it.
Yeah.
Same with any of these techniques and any of these classes that we, you know, teaching, and I'm like, I know I get deep into the stuff because just for my own sake, I just want to know that I understand the stuff that I'm actually saying, you know. And obviously it's working because I'm hitting stuff. So it's like I'm hitting stuff in rows and obviously competitions and stuff like that. So it is working. But if I can really explain it to someone, then I know myself that like I have it covered, you know. Then I know that when the time will come, I'll actually hit it, and I will, I'll just hit the technique, and then, you know, I won't miss out on it. But I feel just kind of expressing it all out, just talking it all out. Obviously, if we could roll down here, I'll definitely roll. Like, I'll literally mid podcast just roll and just say it all out about all techniques. That's the best way. Just show.
That's the next episode.
Rolling with Davy at Lakeland. But yeah, no, that's what it is. It's like, if you can show it, if you can explain it, then you really know it, and that's key. It is key, 100% key. No, it definitely is key. Plus, that's why I've been enjoying the coaching side of it too a lot, especially striking, because I feel we had obviously Anne McGrath from Athlone for a very long time, and fair fucks to him, honest to God, because it's just like he taught us so many things of basically the fundamental stuff about striking, just throwing the basic stuff. And then in my own head, as time went on, I just kind of, once again, I just connected all the dots. And now I know is like what has to be taught, or what has to be taught initially for beginners for them to get better. So now is like, if this is, and if I have a nice structure, a nice plan in place, then it's like, I know it myself. I can teach it, so it's working. So there's it's absolutely incredible. Just talking it out, and just you can show it, and then obviously there's another way of just talking it out. It's just like therapy. It's been just great just talking it all out, because yeah, it's just them deep kind of thoughts that are always in the head, but people don't really talk about them, you know what I mean?
They gotta verbalize it.
Yeah, they don't really talk about them, and it just sits in the head, and then, you know, people just not even forget about them, but then there's something wrong with them, but it's just, they just have to talk it all out. They just have to throw it on the table. We have a nice table here, so I'm just throwing it all out.
David, thank you so much. And final question I have for you. So what's next for yourself? You've mentioned Europeans. Are you open to the concept of any super fights, any other competitions, MMA, sponsorships?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Obviously, Europeans just around the corner, October 18th. Yeah, no, after I win that, I'm straight into it. No, I'm not. As I said, I'm not taking time off. I'm going to get as active as I can, doing all of the local competitions. Obviously, Grapple Kings, we have Grapple Industries, we have basically all the nationals, and there's just so many things coming up that is like, it'll be a shame on not doing them. So just getting into that competitive side once again. That's just staying as active as I can. Probably get a nice match on EFC2 in December. That's something that probably a grappling, maybe MMA. I'm not too sure yet about I'm not too sure about MMA yet, because like I said, it's obviously it's so broad that I still have so many things to be working on, and it might be a couple of more months until I get back into the swing of things with MMA. But grappling, 100%, I'm gonna get everything, no matter who it is, no matter where it is, just gonna do it, man. Because as I said, as we were saying, it's literally, you're just gonna get better. No matter what the result is, you're just gonna get better. And if you get better, you're just gonna go through the roof. Your confidence and everything, you're just gonna, rocket up high, and then you're just gonna be more comfortable on the mats, and then just taking the big matches. That's the big game, taking nice. Whoa, nice, yeah, basically just big matches, obviously something like Josh Scully, just getting that and just
keeping the momentum going.
Just keeping the momentum going, yeah, 100%. And it's just going to be after Euros. I feel that it's just do a couple of locals and then just get on a couple of shows, Grapple Kings, or basically the one in Tullamore, and that's 1st of December, so I'll probably try to get on that too. So, that's it. Yeah, really.
Perfect, Davy. Once again, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And for anyone who's watching or listening, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. And if you've watched it on YouTube, make sure to follow. So, Davy, thank you so much.